What's going on, guys? We're back at you with Shop Talk here, ready to talk about the latest Star Wars movie.
We're going to go way back to a galaxy far, far away.
I don't know about that because Cody already ruined the movie for me.
I'm Dominic Griffel.
I'm Kyler Sosi.
And I'm Bryce Blanco.
All right, so we'll go ahead and jump into it. So the movie Rise of Skywalker was written and directed by J.J. Abrams. Right now, it's sitting at the box office $950 million. It's still in the theaters, so that probably go up. It was on a budget of around $275 million. It stars Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, Mark Hamill, Oscar Isaac, Carrie Fisher, John Boyega. I think those are the most notable characters, right?
Yeah, you're a lot better with that than I am.
It's the last installment of the Skywalker saga. It's a fantasy sci-fi. It is sitting at 53% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 86, and it's sitting at a 54% on Metacritic. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was a great movie. I hated the ending. I'm just going to be honest. I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't into Star Wars. So the film apparel to the people that don't know the storyline or anything. It was a great movie. To me, I thought they could have done a lot more with the ending to let people, because you obviously they're going to do something else with this. Even though there's not going to be any Luke Skywalker or any of the original cast, there's going to be something else, right? Anybody else?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be other movies, but it should be the last. But I mean, that's not to say that they're not going to pick up on the stories of like Rey and Poe and Finn.
I think they can, because technically they said that this is the last of the Skywalker saga, so technically she's not a Skywalker.
That's what I was saying. And I want to put that out first and foremost. I knew Rey was a Palpatine.
Yeah, I knew it.
I knew it, and I told you, and I told you, and I told you.
But I don't like that she went by Skywalker at the end of the film.
You really keep jumping to the end.
I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't like it.
Well, let's start from the top of the movie. We'll work our way through that.
Well, let me let you guys start from the top, and I'm going to work my way into the conversation when I can think of something.
And go to the beginning.
Yeah.
I think the end is the worst part, so that's what I want to talk about. So you guys go ahead, and I'll just kind of jump in here and there about what I got to say. So go ahead, tell me what you think.
Okay, so my thoughts on the movie. I liked it. It wasn't, what, everyone was expecting. I believe that they tried to cram too much into it. I feel like I know it's really cliche to do a 1 and 2 part kind of thing.
I think it would have been perfect to do a 2 part.
Yeah, I think if they got to do a 2 part, I feel like J.J. Abrams could have expanded so much more, because I felt like we were left with more questions than stuff that he could answer in this movie. If that makes any sense.
No, I think it would have been great. I really do. I think, not to go off topic, but like you look at the Harry Potter series towards the end where they started making, the last movie was a 2-part series. Hunger Games was a 2-part series. It just leaves, one, you're going to make more money because the audience will come back.
And the cliffhanger that it leaves you on the first one.
Exactly. I think that would have been a great idea to do.
And don't forget, Avengers did the same thing basically, even though they didn't consider it a 1 and 2 part. It's technically a 1 and 2 part.
Yeah.
I did. I really liked the movie. There's some stuff that I can pick at. I don't know. I guess maybe I wanted to like the movie because I hated The Last Jedi so much, and I like watching it. I overlooked a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, that doesn't flow right. But when I watched it the first time, like I left the theater like I left okay. Like I was like, this is good, and that's good for me because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and
you're picky as hell.
And I am picky as hell, and especially with Star Wars. But I left the movie the first time and I really liked it. So, but with these movies, is like especially with Star Wars movies, I have to go and watch it again. Like those are some of the only movies that I'll go back to the theater and watch again. Or multiple times. But the second time I did it, I went and I still liked the movie. I still left okay. There was more stuff that I kind of picked on that I was like, that's not right. You know what I mean? Or I didn't. Yeah. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that I think especially for a closing movie, like when you're wrapping up the saga, you should probably start closing off some of those open ends, answering the questions, stop leaving cliffhangers, things like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't really do that in this movie. They brought up a lot of new stuff.
See, like another point that I thought, like, I have no problem with Leia being a Force user, because I thought it was pretty obvious that she would have the option, or not the option, but she would have ability being who her father was. But I didn't like that, like, okay, we've waited this long into a series to establish that she was training to be a Jedi. Like, that's something I wish I would have seen.
Like on film. They had it in some comics, but they didn't
But I
put
wanted
it on film.
But I would have liked to see it in the movies, because then I think...
Well, I mean, we've seen it in The Last Jedi, though, when she did her Mary Poppins.
But did you, I mean, really... Okay, up until that point, when do you really see her do anything or Force sensitive? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, I mean, we know that Leia had the Force because it was put out, like you said, in like comics and things like that, and it was mentioned here and there, but she chose the path of like politics rather than being a Jedi. But this one just shows that like she actually did train in it before she made that decision. It wasn't just like, oh, I can use the Force, and then she was like, yeah, but I don't want to.
See, that's what I mean. Like, it just was like, it was just so left open.
Yeah, but I really love that scene. Like,
I know, I thought it was a great scene when you actually go back to watch it and you look at it. It was a cool scene. I thought that's why I think I was so kind of upset with it, that I wish that you would have seen something like that in earlier films, because then you'd be like, wow, man, this all starts to add up and this all makes more sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that I didn't like about this movie was they spent a lot of time trying to fix The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of telling the end of the story or progressing the story. They were kind of backpedaling, I guess, just to kind of fix some of those things that people hated about The Last Jedi, which I get because Rian Johnson ruined it.
And you have to do damage control to an extent.
Yeah, but then this movie suffered because of it. And I think that this movie would have been so much better if they would have all been on the same page. And that's where I think that Disney kind of messed up. And I don't know if they were just trying something new with, doing the different director for each movie. I thought that was kind of weird from the very start. Like, I thought that was going to create a lot of inconsistencies and just kind of holes in the story, or people going back and being like, oh, I don't really like that, I'm going to fix that. And then
people have different visions.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think they just spent too much time doing that, and then this movie didn't get to where it should have been if they didn't have to, you know what I mean? And there was just a lot of open, like, cliffhanger, like, where did Palpatine come from? You know what I mean? Like,
how he was created.
Yeah, or how he came back. And I get it, because if you read in the EU, the extended or expanded universe, he does come back. He clones himself a freaking 1,000 times, and it's okay because it was explained. It was kind of weird, but it was explained. You know what I mean? This one, it was just kind of, and that's where I was, like you said, it was like all bunched in there. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was kind of rushed because we got that right in the crawl. So as soon as it opened up, we hear the music and the crawl pops up, and then boom, Palpatine's there, and you're just like, "Ooh, where did you come from?" Pump the brakes, man. Yeah. Where the hell did Palpatine come from, and why is he back? Mm-hmm. And I mean, even if they would have done that and then explained a little bit more or given a little bit into that, and I think for the average fan, that was fine. But for people who are a little bit more invested in the series, in Star Wars in general, we find all those little plot holes and we want answers for all those little plot holes. Yeah. Star Wars fans are hard to please. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they should be, because we expect good storytelling.
Yeah.
So.
See, now, what I was thinking what they were going to do, because they released The Mandalorian the day before, right? So they, what I felt like they were going to do was explain a little bit how they got to clone Palpatine in this series, this episode, before the movie came out.
Because they said that there was going to be some kind of connection.
And that actually would have made Palpatine being alive make sense because of the time frame of where The Mandalorian is playing right now.
Yeah.
so it would have actually went smoothly into the movie.
So, I think like how they were gonna do it, because they were, I think it was like in the second or third episode when the Mandalorian brought Baby Yoda back. They were extracting something out of him, right?
Yeah.
Or they were doing something with him.
Well, if you look at that guy, the doctor who was trying to get him in the beginning, if you look at he has like a little patch on his arm, and it's the same patches that the clones wear in the Clone Wars.
Oh,
like they have the same Camino, like
the Camino.
It's like a patch, and it was the same one on that doctor. So after I noticed that, and it took me a little while because I watched it the other day and I was like, hey, that looks familiar. And then I went back and watched The Mandalorian and I was like, hey, that's the same patch.
Yeah.
And so I was like, they were probably trying to clone them.
Yeah, I feel like if they would have done that, they would have got Star Wars fans more excited with going into the movie.
Yeah. And there was a lot of fan service on this movie. Like
there really was.
And I mean, which is good because the fans are the ones who watch it.
That's what you make these movies for.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was okay with that. A lot of people were complaining about it. But, I mean, why would you want to make a movie that the fans are not going to like? You know what I mean? That doesn't, I don't know why.
I agree.
That seems odd to me. But
I think, like you guys said, if there was just these little details that made, like, explanations, people would have been more pleased. Personally, like, I just thought, like, there was too many moments that I felt like, why? Well, how? You know what I mean? Like, I just kept questioning what is the purpose of this, or how did this even come about? Because we don't really know, because they just kind of left some cliffhangers throughout it. I like the connections. Like, to me, when I watch movies, I like when they expand characters. Like when they went on Poe's, that planet where he meets everybody.
Oh yeah.
Like I think that's going to be a great expansion to somewhat look into a backstory on who he was.
Yeah, but like with the comics, because there's a comic about Poe, and I don't know. To me, it seems like they kind of made a little hole there.
Did they botch it, kind of?
Well, I don't know, because I've only read a few of them. I haven't read the whole series.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. Like, when did this dude do this? Because he's been in the Resistance, it seems like, from the comics for a while. So now he's like a spice runner, and I was kind of like, like that's. I mean, it was cool. It didn't bother me at all. Like, that wasn't anything that I was like, oh, this sucks. But it just seemed odd to me. But I did like the two characters, their little bond. What's that girl's name that he was with?
His little girlfriend.
The one with that weird helmet thing?
Yeah.
She kind of looked like a Mandalorian. Like the gear a little bit. I know it wasn't a Mandalorian, but I mean...
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and, like, I like their... how they kept, doing that ongoing joke throughout the movie.
Maybe now?
Yeah. I liked it.
I'm
it was
not gonna lie.
And that's one thing I really liked about this movie is that the comedy in this movie, it seemed like it flowed perfectly. And the comedy for The Last Jedi, it seemed super forced, and I hated it. Like, nothing in there, I was like, man, I really.
And
like
I feel
that.
like I feel like in this one they went with like an adult approach. Okay, it's technically an adult film, so the humor, although you are pleasing children, should be that of an adult. You know what I mean? And I think I don't know how you felt about the little character that Babu Frick. That's
my boy, man.
That guy was like he was the simplest character, but totally made you just like, this little dude's badass. You know what I mean?
I felt like they kept like real old school with that, like, because I think he seemed like a puppet to
me.
Like an
animatronic kind of.
Yeah, like I don't know if he was, but he seemed like it, and I was like, but it worked. You know what I mean?
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was good, and I really liked his character. It was hilarious.
His little laugh, his little hey, like that was hilarious. Like, and I remember watching the movie and thinking, like when they left that scene, I'm like, man, I wonder what happened to that guy. You know what I mean?
He's way cooler than Porgs.
I
like Porgs. I'm not gonna lie. No, I'm not gonna.
He's up there with Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
But Babu was.
Yeah, he was great. And then 3PO was on point in this one too.
Oh my god!
Like everything he said was great.
So they actually gave him more of like a development in this movie.
Yeah.
Like they gave him some depth to a character.
Yeah.
Like that. I think in every movie you see him, he's just so robotic, which is ironic. You know what I mean? But,
he is a robot.
So, but I mean, you see this guy in all these movies, so you're like, can we get a little more? Can we get a little more? What did you think about them using Babu Frick to reboot him? So
I thought that was great. Like I thought it was cool. The only thing is, I kind of wish that he wouldn't have been able to come back. because
To wipe him clean.
yeah, like when they wiped him clean, there was obviously there was a fix for everything, I guess, and they fixed him in the end, and he was. But the moment where Poe is like, "What are you doing, 3PO?" and he's like, "I'm taking one last look at my friends." I was like, "Man, that's a deep."
That
was deep, and then I was
for
like,
an AI,
and I was like, that was deep, and that would have been a great end to his character, and then he moves on from there, But
and that would have been a closure.
Yeah,
that we needed from a character.
Yes, exactly.
And again, like I just said, it's the Disney way.
Oh yeah.
Freaking R2D2, who listens to nobody, all of a sudden backs up his files.
Well, R2D2 was a badass though.
But I think that's why I like the character so much, because he just doesn't listen.
Yeah,
he does whatever he wants.
He's like what's his name on Rebels?
Yeah. What's the little boss name on Rebels? That guy's hilarious. Just goes
Chopper.
around. Chopper, man.
Yeah, I like Chopper too.
Chopper's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. That was the only thing that, like, with 3PO that I didn't like was I was just like, man, they should have they should have closed that. That was perfect closure. It was a deep part right before, because I was sad. Like, I was legit, like, I felt sad. I'm like, dang, man.
Yeah, like,
and
he's ever going to come back?
Yeah.
Basically.
And he's like, I'm taking one last look at my friends, and I was just like, oh.
And I think going forward to them doing series about Rey, Poe, wherever it goes forth from here, it's a clean slate with C-3PO, because it's almost like you're wiping and you're closing the original Star Wars. You know what I mean? So it would have went perfect with this new saga.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of us would have been like, that was dope, man.
So about this movie, it's like, I mean, we're talking about like the robots and Babu Frick taking away the movie, but it's like the original characters didn't really have that much of a character development, like the scenes were like super rushed. I feel like, going back to the 1 and 2 part kind of theories, I feel like if they got to try, I know that screen time was limited because we don't have Carrie Fisher anymore, but if they would have shown like a little bit of her like training a lot more, like development on a lot more, things that didn't have to seem so rushed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I think that this movie should have definitely been a 3-hour plus movie, especially being the end with everything that they had to wrap up.
Yeah,
I get why they did it. You know what I mean? Because there's less showings. If it's 3 hours, they're going to have less showings. They're going to get less money. You know what I mean? So I mean, that was a money thing, I guess. But they did it with Avengers, and it worked out.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll do what they did with Avengers and re-release the movie.
And they might and that'd be a money decision.
That's what I heard.
They're saying that they're going to release a JJ cut.
Yeah.
And there'll be that's a money decision as well. I don't care what anyone says, because then you got people like us that are like, oh, I'm gonna go back because I want to see what else they put in it, and we do. But I just think doing that would be a great idea. I think an expansion on this, there was just too many scenes that were rushed. Like, I know we keep complaining about that. I do personally. Like Kylo Ren and his the Sith Knights?
Oh, the Knights of Ren.
Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Like, how badass did these dudes
Those
look?
guys were.
They were super
I feel like
underused, though.
Yeah,
I feel like they could have done like a Black Order kind of thing,
Yeah.
like with the Avengers Infinity War. If they would have done something like that, cool,
And I think
we still didn't really get. I mean,
in
not
either
on
one of
screen.
them.
Yeah, it was
never
just
got a
them searching the
backstory,
whole
nothing,
time.
yeah.
That was it.
in either one of them, I mean, you look at The Last Jedi, and then you look at this movie, like Palpatine's. What would his be called?
The Knights Guards or
The Knights Guards,
those
the
red
ones.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they're
I forgot what they're called as well.
Anyways, we all know what we're talking about because they were like Kylo Ren soldiers. I mean, we had these just quick scenes of like great action.
Well, did you see the Sith troopers, the red ones?
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Did their names for each like platoon, legion, whatever they are?
Mhm.
They were named after like past Sith lords. Like they had the Revan.
Oh, really? I didn't
yeah.
know that. But that's what I mean. There's so much. I know a lot of people think of like stormtroopers and all
They
these.
can't shoot for shit.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much story behind them.
Yeah.
And it's just.
But I mean, how many stories can you tell in that?
But
time,
that's
you know?
right. That's what I'm saying. If we did a part 1 and 2, okay, take this for part 1. We show Leia training Rey. Okay, in that time we see Kylo Ren and
the Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren in part 1, just searching and training. That's a freaking great concept right there. 2, you end part 1 with him finding Palpatine. That's such a cliffhanger that, like, when you go back for 2, you people like us have all these theories. You get to 2, and you just end the series on an explosive note.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they technically did that. They did it in 3 movies. It just this second movie of this installation sucked.
And maybe that's why I feel this way, is because the second movie didn't help this movie
move this one forward.
Yeah.
Well, I really do. Like, if we could completely take out episode 8, like, you could literally watch The Force Awakens and then watch The Rise of Skywalker without watching Last Jedi, and you would be fine. Like, it would be nothing. 9 should have been 8, and then they should have another one after this.
Yeah, I agree.
And because, I mean, you look at The Last Jedi, like, nothing really happened in that. Snoke died. That was really, like, the highlight. Luke was on that island, but he really didn't do anything, which sucks for Mark Hamill, man, because I'm sure he would wanted to come back and
just have this
do the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
But they gave him a shit hand, and he was just, they ruined a childhood hero, you know what I mean? Made him disappear to this island, and he was a coward, it seemed to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And it ruined that character for me. I was just like, man, that's like, because you look at Legends and the expanded universe, and he did so much. And then in this one, like, he really, after he redeemed Vader and helped kill Palpatine, or had Vader kill Palpatine, which he didn't actually do.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like, he started a Jedi Order, got like one step into that, and then that blew up in his face, and he was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, he really did nothing.
He's like, I'm a failure, and then he just stops.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. I feel like if you have a hero like that, and you have this fall where everything goes wrong, there should be some kind of redemption story. And it shouldn't be the redemption story that they played out in The Last Jedi, because that was terrible.
How did you feel about Rey's training scene? I thought that was kind of cool, because we've really never seen a training
sequence.
Yeah, like, that was kind of cool. And then it was with Leia, which, I mean, she really didn't do a whole lot of the training. Like, Rey was just running a course. But, I mean, it was still pretty cool to see, because we've never really seen that.
I like that. And that's another thing, like, that was a great little scene where you got to see a training, like a certain training of a Jedi. I mean, we don't know. I don't know personally if they all train the same or not, but that was a cool little course. It made you feel like, damn, that's badass. Like, that she's really working to be a Jedi.
Yeah, I could totally do that course.
I don't think you can.
Like, the only other training that you ever see is like with Yoda and Luke, right? But it's like a lot of just like knowledge-based kind of stuff.
Yeah, where he's like standing on his back.
Yeah,
or he's doing the handstand.
But it was cool to see a new age, HD version of like training.
Another part that I really liked was the opening scene where Kylo Ren's just going through and mauling through all those dudes. That was actually on Mustafar. And
really?
Yeah, that was on the
Darth
same.
Vader's little planet.
Yeah, that was
I
where
didn't know that.
Darth Vader, got all cut up by Obi-Wan. Yeah, that was the same. And if you, I hate sand. But you, in the background, I guess if you pause it, you can kind of see like an outline of structure. And supposedly, I don't know how true that is, but it's supposed to be Vader's castle. But with that, like, that was a cool scene. Like,
It really was.
yeah, and Kylo's just going through, just kicking people's asses, just wrecking people. And then I feel like instead of him just walking up to that box, opening that box, and I feel like it would have been cool if they would have showed him go into Vader's castle and find that. Like, that would have been kind of cool. And I feel like it wouldn't have taken that much time out of the movie.
And then I think a cool thing would have, because when he's following the holocron, right?
Well, no, the Sith Wayfinder.
The Sith Wayfinder. Okay. I got a little off on that. But it would have been cool to see that scene where he's going through Vader's castle and then just using the Force to just be like, as he's walking by, just...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, like, that'd be a great... because
I like the sound effect you just
that was
made.
dope, man.
That was pretty good,
That was
man.
pretty good.
If you're listening, Disney, I'm ready to be hired. So, I'm a little pricey, but I'm sure you can afford it. But I mean, that would have been dope just to see that walkthrough. You know what I mean? Because he's using the lightsaber, he's kicking ass, and then just to
And
see
then
him
use
use the
the
Force
Force.
just walk right by. That shit would have been dope. You know
Well,
what I
then-
mean?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back to that one. That's gonna do a lot with the ending on my part.
Yeah.
And
and then so then the next scene he goes and he shows up on Exegol.
Exegol, yeah.
And he's like gets out and he's like lightsaber ready and he's just like ready to go in there and it's like, man, fuck you, Palpatine. But like I was kind of like, damn, man, like I feel like he would be
badass.
seeking out Palpatine rather than like.
Yeah,
But he went in there. He's like, I'm gonna kill you.
It's like, fuck this guy, you're dead.
Yeah, you're
but
gonna
I'm
die.
kill you again.
But then he's like, but it was so easy to convince him to be like, no, you're gonna be my pawn, and he was like, okay.
Yeah.
I wish I would have saw like a better, like, being that they went that route, a better fight scene trying to kill him, and then him realizing, all right, okay,
Like,
I
I
need
can't.
to be a pawn
Yeah.
to get what I need done.
You know what? Like, they never really showed. The only one they showed, I think, is Revenge of the Sith, and then like the Clone Wars, obviously. But they always go with Sith lightning with Palpatine, which I know that's like his signature thing.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he is badass with a lightsaber, and
Yeah.
I love every scene that they have, whether it's animated or live action movies. He's a badass with a lightsaber, and I know he doesn't like lightsaber. He uses it to mock the Jedi and everything. But
Yeah.
I wish we would have got just a little bit.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming back to what
Jedi
Bryce
fight
said.
scene.
That's what I was saying. I was going to come back with Bryce on the ending. Been so cool if you would have seen a lightsaber fight scene between Rey and Palpatine. It's just like a power struggle, basically.
Yeah.
When it's just lightning, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
Like lightning's cool to a certain point.
Yeah. Or a little bit of lightsaber and lightning. Like
Yeah.
I would have been good with that. You know. I just wanted to see Palpatine use his damn lightsaber. That was it.
I just wanted to see
He was on that big arm, moving it around and stuff.
the clown that we were watching like in Toy Story again. No, but I mean, I just wanted to see some old-fashioned Western style Jedi fighting. You know what I mean? Like even the part where they capture Chewie. Like
They
instead of
just skip
seeing
that
each
all.
other,
Yeah.
instead of seeing each other play handsies with each other, who's got the better force, like pulling tug of war back. and
that
forth.
one was because I mean, I get that one because he was trying to see if Palpatine was being like. I feel like he was trying to see if Palpatine was being truthful or not. Like, and as soon as Rey shoots a bunch of lightning out of her hand, you're kind of like, I see it. Yeah, she's a Pal.
Yeah, no, well, I get it, but I just think like
She pulls that thing out of the sky. That
she
was badass.
did, but I just wanted to see him fucking fight, like the scene that we just like. You get what I'm saying, bitch? I'm trying to tell you, like, like I wanted to see some lightsaber fights. Someone run away because someone got knocked down, and then the scene moves forward. That's all I'm saying is that's what I wanted to see.
No, I know, but I feel like that scene wasn't the one to do it. Like, I feel like that scene, they did that one for a reason. You know what I mean? Where he didn't engage her because
He was trying to figure it out.
I feel like he was like testing her in that one, and I feel like the lightsaber fight, as cool as it would have been, I feel like it would have taken away from that, like, because at that point, like, I was like, she's a Palpatine again, like, because
they dropped little Easter eggs throughout the movie to prove your point. I mean, I think we were all on board with that. Like, she had to be a Palpatine because who else could she be being that strong?
Yeah,
Kenobi. That would have been cool.
She could have been Kenobi. I mean, he has a little fight with that Mandalorian.
I still don't think that's an excuse though for her being so powerful. Because like you have to get trained. Like she was just like
because
you have to get trained in the
because,
dark side to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
because
it's not
even
just like
Luke,
step over that.
You watch the old series, like Luke just doesn't come out, and he's a great freaking Jedi.
Yeah,
Like it takes time.
He has a training scene where he's getting shot by the little ball. Yeah, the training droid. And he gets shot. Yeah, he's having a hard time. But then that's what trips me out too, is because she's so powerful. I guess she's like untrained, but she's powerful. Talent. Yeah, like raw talent. Exactly. Because then you watch that training scene and there's some stuff that she's stumbling through that like a normal Jedi would have like walked right through that. Yeah. But so I guess they kind of throw that in there, like she still has to train,
strong, but she's not refined.
I don't know, but I want my daughter to, when she grows up, to be like Rey, because Rey's a badass, man.
She is. I mean, I definitely like the female lead in that aspect. I think a little more depth to the character, like we've been saying,
Mm-hmm.
would have made it so much better. Because I mean, in The Force Awakens, you have this glance of like who she is, but then that's where the Last Jedi messed up, because that should have been our in depth of who this person is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the middle movie.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Think that would, yeah.
And then I think, I mean, by now we already knew it had to be Palpatine, especially when they released it.
Back Palpatine.
Yeah, I mean, why else?
There was
You know
like
what I mean?
100 trailers for this movie. It was crazy.
yeah.
Which was shocking
Yeah.
because that's not the Disney way.
Well, yeah,
Disney
but
does
Well, they
the-
kind of did that with the Avengers too, like a lot of TV
Yeah.
spots. They said,
yeah. But I think one of the reasons they did that is because when they did Solo, they just were like, "Oh, it has a Star Wars in the title, like it's gonna do fine," and they
See,
barely did it.
And here's the thing: I think
bombed.
if they would have promoted Solo the way they did these films, I think people would have bought in. You know what I mean? And even as much people that watched The Last Jedi that hated it, the real fans came back because they were like, "This has to be better.
Yeah,
This has to be better."
and
that's
that's
why I
yeah.
was excited. Yeah.
And I mean, I hated The Last Jedi. I still own the movie because it's Star Wars, and I want to support Star Wars, and I want more Star Wars. And so even if this movie would have sucked, I still would have bought it. But I don't think it did. I think it was still a good movie, and I think that regardless of all its shortcomings, it's a good movie. And I think that they did the best with what they could with what they had from The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? Like, you can only retcon so much stuff before the entire movie just doesn't exist anymore.
Okay,
So-
I've let you guys talk long enough about all the goody shit. Now we're gonna talk about the worst part of the movie, the ending. I can't do it no more. I gotta talk about this part. I'm just telling you. Okay. So Kylo Ren's had training, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
From the Jedi and the dark side.
Yep.
Am I right? You kill the guy off with a kiss.
Who killed him?
He kisses Rey and gives his life to Rey. Like, that's how you kill off this character?
He gave her the last of his life force.
But why? There's so many other ways you could have ended this, and that's all. Let me just kiss you real quick.
It was beautiful.
Jedi are supposed. No, it wasn't. It was terrible.
beautiful.
It was terrible.
No, well, okay, so
Don't lie to me.
I wanted Kylo. I didn't want Kylo Ren to be redeemed. I didn't want him
I wanted
to
him
be
to
Ben
be
Solo.
evil.
Yeah, I wanted him to go full blown. I'm a bad guy. You can't turn me back because
Must have
Vader
chopped someone's
did,
head
and
off.
like I don't know. I just think it would have been a cool ending to his story. But then when they did it, I was like that. I wasn't a huge fan of the Han scene. Like it was okay. Like it didn't bother me. But like I feel like Anakin could have been in that. Like they should have brought Anakin back to talk.
They
to
should have
him.
brought Darth
Because
Vader back and made him evil
But
as hell.
he didn't die as Darth Vader.
But he should have.
So Vader's gone.
But he should have died. They should have brought some evil kind of dude back and made him evil.
Well, no, I agree. They should have left him evil, but being that they didn't, you know what I mean? Like I would at that point, like I was okay with the redemption. I was like, fine, all right, I'll roll with it.
You wanted his grandpa to be there and pat him on the back. It's okay, son. I was evil once too. Yes. I feel like we're going for that. Hey, it's okay, sonny boy. I had a past too.
Yeah. Well, I don't. It was okay. Like the redemption didn't bother me. Like after they did it, I was okay with it. Like I was like, all right, let's just move past it. I didn't get what I wanted, but I'm okay with what you did. You know, it worked out okay, and so that was fine. The kiss didn't really bother me. It wasn't needed, but it didn't bother me, and it was more fan service because everybody wanted the Raylo or whatever.
The couple name.
Yeah,
But that don't make sense because Jedis are supposed to love.
Yeah, but we're so far past like the traditional
Jedi
Jedi that it
Well, then
didn't
fuck
matter.
it. He shouldn't have died.
And how many Jedi, like Anakin fell in love and
he died.
Obi-Wan
Technically,
fell in love. Like it happened.
Look how it worked out. These guys just need to stay traditional, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd have some Jedi around.
But I was okay with it.
Just tell me, honestly. So many ways that they could have killed off Kylo Ren. The dude falls down a pit.
Oh, I knew he was coming back.
He's
And then they were
climbing
gonna do
back
some
up
epic.
the pit. So epic hand on,
I knew that was gonna happen.
and then
I
we
mean,
don't even get a lightsaber out. No, it's just like lightning, she's dead. Give her your life.
No, and I agree with you. Like the ending, like I think it was way too easy for them to kill Palpatine for how powerful he was. Like there was an entire fleet in the sky, and has one dude, and he's shooting lightning up and everything like that. And then he just stops. Why he stopped, I don't know. Like I feel like he can use 2 lightning at the same time, but he's dual wielding lightning. Yeah, and we've seen him do that. Yeah. But I agree, they killed Palpatine off too easy. But
it just doesn't make sense because this dude was literally taking down the whole fleet outside.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. Like he died way too easy. And I feel like that, like you said, like that's where it was kind of rushed. You know what I mean? Because that could have been a way cooler scene.
But it's kind of like it was kind of touching close to how Snoke died. You know?
Yeah, that was another thing that I like. Man, I don't know if I like the whole clone Snoke thing. Like,
okay, so here's how they could have done it. Okay, so picture this. Okay, so this is how I was hoping this movie would go. Okay, so when you think of this title, it's called Rise of Skywalker, right? So when you think of Rise of Skywalker, you think of Anakin, you think of Luke, right?
Yeah.
So it was Anakin being dark. He was good throughout his whole life, basically, and he turned dark, right? But he turns back to good. So he kind of has that balance, okay? So then there's Luke, who didn't know he was a Skywalker. He was good. He was dabbling with going bad, being tempted by the dark side with Darth Vader and Palpatine, right? Okay, so what I was hoping what would happen with this movie is that the term Skywalker, they were going to
be the Jedi.
Yeah, they were going to do away with the religion, the Jedi religion, the Sith religion, and join both of them together to make a new one, like
the Jedi.
The Jedi.
Well, that's what the original
Jedi
was.
Together.
When they used the light and the dark, they were called the Jedi, and then when they split from the dark, it went to the Jedi.
Now I'm gonna tell you
with the clone part, I feel like what could have like really built up on that, which would have been like a super cool scene, if so the whole term of Skywalker. So Rey and Kylo have to join together to fight off. So then Palpatine made these clones. He made clones of Darth Maul, Count Dooku, Snoke. What if they?
That's what I was
like. What if
say.
you saw them like walk out and they had to like fight these clones of these like previous Sith?
See, I like that, and that's what I was thinking is because we had all these clones of all these old Sith Lords, right? I was thinking we were gonna get some little like snippet of like him cloning these like newer, younger Sith Lord style, just to give us a villain, I guess, for the next whatever they kind of spin off.
Well, maybe the Broom Boy from
the Broom Boy
from Last Jedi. They totally forgot about that guy too.
The thing with I agree. They did completely forgot about that guy.
Kid just picks up the broom of the Force like Kylo should have done.
But the thing with cloning, like, and this is, I think, one of the reasons they didn't go that direction is because cloning Force users is really, really difficult. Yeah. And they talk about it in like some of the expanded universe and all this stuff. And it's really difficult to do. So like I feel like that's kind of why they didn't go that way. And then kind of like less is more, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that would have been a little too much. And I don't know, like I don't know how everybody would have responded to that. Like Dooku walking out, Maul walking out.
I don't know. Everyone liked Kylo dying with a kiss, so
you're still on that. My thing with that, like, so, and the only reason I was okay with that, it was beautiful.
It was terrible.
No, and see, the only reason like I was good with it was because if you look again in the expanded universe, you have like Revan. Revan went through an up and down. Like he went from being a bad guy to a good guy to a bad guy to a good guy. And so I felt like that was kind of okay to do with Kylo. So like he went back, he was good, he went bad, and then they brought him back. So it was fine. Like you're like, okay, well now he's going to be that good guy. He's going to tread the righteous path. And then Rey, well no, and I didn't want him to die. I wanted Rey and him to recreate the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
And you have a lightsider and Darksider who was redeemed, and they're recreating. You know what I mean? Like that would have been a cool thing. Yeah. If I would just, I'm okay with the kiss. I'm okay with him turning good. I just wish they would have kept him alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they built his character up to die.
Yeah.
Like they really did. And then
I just think he was so strong that the way they took him out.
Yeah, it was simple, but I think they were just trying to show
they were trying to have that moment, like the 3PO moment, like they were just like, oh man, they took another
ruined that
character
moment
for
too.
us. Yeah, well, but like with 3PO, it hit, right?
Yeah.
It hit,
No,
and this one just didn't hit.
And I just think that it would have been a great, and it's me just complaining. Honestly, it really is. They could have hit this great market of us seeing a new way to teach Jedi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they're still going to go into that though, because
I
they're.
do, but I think it's, and this is my thing with why I think Kylo should have been alive, because he's had the depth of training, and Rey didn't get that. You know what I mean?
And that was another thing too. Is like I would honestly I would have been more okay with Rey dying,
Yeah.
and then Kylo still being redeemed.
Yeah.
And going on to create the Jedi Order and
that's what
everything
I was-
like that,
and
because
that-
that gave him a little bit more depth to his character.
I agree.
So
And it's not that I didn't think Rey was a great character. It's just that I just find that there's just this huge gap of how is she going to train people when she's still getting trained herself. You know, maybe we'll get this, you know, what is it, the Jedi Force, where they can, when they're dead, they can
the
come
Force
back.
Ghost.
The Force Ghost.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get that in the next one and kind of get some guidance.
But I mean, at that point, there's no more Jedi left, right? And so you got to kind of start somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you are still learning, but you pass on what you've learned. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like train the trainer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're still, you have to start somewhere, I guess, and that with nobody else being there. And she has those Force Ghosts, and that was another thing I feel like was a huge missed opportunity, because they came in with all the voices of the Jedi, and she was like, I'm all the Jedi, and then you start hearing all the voices and all that stuff, which was great. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was a super, super missed opportunity, because they could have brought all of them back as a Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Especially,
You know what I mean?
especially
Hayden
in that
Christensen,
one,
too.
especially in that one scene where they're kind of facing off through each other, and you see, I don't know who the Sith audience, when
All the followers.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and that one part, and to me, I don't think it was, but it's just what it kind of looked like when you first got a glance of them, like being in that half circle behind Rey. It looked like there was a Darth Vader behind her, and that's where I kind of thought with like the whole clone thing. It looked like, and I didn't know if it was because you remember he was like, I'm all those voices that have been in your head.
Oh,
for
that was
Kylo.
great.
So
Yeah.
see, so that's where I thought when I saw that little audience and that half circle that was behind her, I thought, this is all the people he influenced in the past, and it's like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
And that would have been a dope moment to have all those Jedi ghosts come back and Force ghosts come back, and
Yeah, I
just
think it
see
should have been
them-
on both sides. Because
Yeah.
he said, I'm all the Sith, and she's like, I'm
And tell
all
me
the
that wouldn't have
Jedi.
been a dope way to end your.
Yeah, because it would have
everybody.
showed everybody, and like,
And then you have closure.
yeah, I don't know, like, see, and I don't know about bringing them back as clones, but like maybe as, because it's Sith aren't supposed to be able to do Force
Yeah,
ghosts.
Force Ghost
Yeah.
stuff.
But like, I still think that would have been a kind of cool thing, is like maybe not have them all fight, but just have them kind of be there,
Just
as a
behind each other.
presence.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, just to show that
I
they're
think like their
there.
appearance.
Yeah.
I think that would have made a great ending, because then you would have had this whole. It would have been like this, like metaphor behind it. Like she is the new Jedi. You know what I mean?
And
then,
I kind of wish she would have just went bad too. Like that would have been cool too, because that would have been
I
like
see,
I think
and then-
people would have been like, ooh,
and
I
then
think
if-
they would have been.
if
kind
she
of,
goes
wow.
bad, she kills Palpatine, and then Kylo turns good. Then we have this whole new
it's like a switch.
saga, and we just switch, and it would have been a great new start.
Yeah.
I really see, and I just think, and I'm just a little bitter because they killed him off in a terrible way, just in my opinion.
I just don't like that they killed off. I guess it was because it was the end, but they do this. They did it in the Last Jedi. They killed off all the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kylo Ren, but he was still like a developing bad guy.
Yeah.
So you at that point, like they had to bring back the Emperor because they had nobody else.
Yeah.
Like-
and they kill off any kind of lead to
Yeah.
having like a dark side.
That
Every
scene
time.
though, where he's walking into the Sith temple on Exegol, and he tells him that like I'm every voice you've ever heard, and it goes from Snoke to Vader to Palpatine. Like I was like, oh, that's dope.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah, that was a cool scene, but I mean, I don't know. There's a million ways they could have ended it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been.
And I just don't think there's any way to please everybody.
Yeah, that's another
Especially
thing.
Star Wars fans.
Yeah, Star Wars fans, because you have diehard Star Wars fans that have completely opposite opinions. So somebody was going to be.
Well, I mean, you look at your opinion and my opinion, and you've been watching these for years. I just started last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm begging a little bit. I'm reaching out there for something a little more, but I just think that overall it was a great film. It really was. I just have my pet peeves with certain things that they did, and I think everybody does it with any film you like. I think anything I watch, I've never found a movie that I thought was 100% on point. Like, I think there's always movies where you're like, they could have done this a little better. That's just my opinion.
And they're like, where did old Palps come from? You know what I mean? Like
That's
that.
good.
I just wanted a little bit more on that, and I'm sure we'll get it in a comic. It won't be live action, obviously.
It'll be on like the Disney.
It just
Plus
would have been.
or-
It would have been cool to see that, or like know how he came back and everything like that. And I don't know. That would have been. I just wanted a little bit more there, like more of an explanation. And then once they kill, or like once Kylo flips. Like really, all we have is the Emperor, but he's like tied up the claw, and then the only bad guy we really have is what's his name, General Pride. Like, who the hell is that guy? And he's like, "I'll serve you like I served you," but he's part of the First Order. I don't know. I've never read any content about him being there before.
He was just like,
so I was like, "What war did you?"
Yeah, he was just there.
Yeah, but I mean, he was still like a menacing character. Like he was still.
He gave you that vibe, that definitely that like goon vibe. You were like, "Dang, this guy's creepy."
They shot the
getting
hell
rid
out
of General Hux.
They shot the hell out of Hux, dude. But then after the Last Jedi, they made him a joke anyway. So it wasn't like I wasn't invested in that character anyway at that point because they just made him a laughingstock in the Last Jedi. So
I think these generals in the Star Wars stuff is just for the Sith just to choke and throw around, basically.
Yeah. Well, one thing too,
tantrum guy.
One thing that kind of threw me off too is like, so Sidious has been manipulating Snoke, created Snoke, all that stuff like that. Why were they so adamant that Snoke was not a Sith, and if Kylo Ren was already following Snoke, why wouldn't, and the Emperor's behind it all, and the Emperor's a Sith, why was there not more Sith involvement in this? Like, why didn't he get Sith training instead of just dark side? And they kept saying, well, he's not a Sith, he's not a Sith, he's not a Sith, which he wasn't. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he was influenced by a Sith who was trying to train or turn, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I needed more Sith.
Mm-hmm. I think it would have been great to see that like Darth Maul vibe, you know what I mean? Where at least if he was a Sith warrior. Something, because then you're more bought in to the idea.
Yeah.
As opposed to, it's just dark side. Well, then you're just saying he's just a pawn.
Palps looked scary in this movie.
He did. He looked creepy, man. It was.
When I seen that, I was like, dang. I was watching with my son, and I was just like, close your eyes. Yeah, he's gonna have nightmares.
I was watching it on the opposite side of Kyler in the movie theater, and I just had to almost get up and hug him because I thought he was gonna cry.
Watching him.
I saw his eyes tear up. And I'm the one that's afraid of horror movies. You know what I mean? So I knew I had to step up.
Finn finally grew some balls, though.
Yeah,
Finn, this is Finn's. Like, John Boyega did a great job throughout all three movies. Like, his acting was on point, everything.
But he finally became.
His character sucked in the first three movies. Like, honestly, we could have got rid of him in The Force Awakens, and he could have been a background.
See, but I like where he developed, because in The Force Awakens, he really is. I mean, he has no identity. So at that point, yeah, he kind of is a coward. You know, he's just trying to survive.
Yeah, but you would think being like this trained dude, like he'd be a little bit.
But he worked in like the trash heap, didn't he?
I don't know. Well,
But
I mean,
he
I
says
think
it
yeah, they do. But then why was he at the thing?
That made no sense. Maybe he was about to collect the bodies and burn them. I don't know. But I mean, he had no real identity.
No, that makes sense. I didn't think about it like that. I mean,
so he's not really a warrior. You know what I mean? So then in the second movie, I think that's when they should have shown him kind of develop a little more courage, as opposed to him being like, "Oh, let's flee."
I think I'm pretty positive that Finn has Force abilities.
See, now that's what they were. That's what. Okay, so you know what he wanted to say to Rey.
Yeah.
So there was one fan theory, or not fan theory, but it was like they were at the screening or something with J.J. Abrams, and J.J. Abrams confirmed that that's what he was gonna say, but they never said it.
Yeah,
and that's another freaking plot hole that will never be on film.
Yeah, it was like a cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Why bring it up? Why bring it up if you're never gonna say it? But then, like, he kept saying, like, I have a feeling, or I had a feeling, I felt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this dude can use the Force.
And you can basically, well, at first came up on the Force Awakens how he went 1-on-1 with Kylo Ren. Made Kylo Ren look kind of weak in that one. So you could kind of see like he's a little bit Force sensitive because he wielded a lightsaber.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was like when I first watched it, like when I seen that, oh man, I was so heated. I was like, why is that guy using the lightsaber? He has no reason to touch that. I love the
I thought he just wanted to tell Rey he loved her.
Well, that was the other thing. That's the other theory that I heard that he kept trying to get out.
And that's because I always thought like going back to The Last Jedi, it just seemed like he just wanted to save her.
Yeah,
be with her.
Yeah. I could see that too, but
I think I think they're probably going to do that,
and then
but they mess it up with like introducing Rose into that.
Yeah.
Dilemma. But then in this one, they didn't even like really.
I was so happy about that. I was so glad she took a back seat. Nothing against her acting, nothing like that. I have nothing against the actress, but she was just not a needed character. And her scene in
he's lying, he hated her.
Her scene in The Last Jedi, where
of course she's just about to go.
Oh, that was dumb. But no, where were they? Canto Bight. It was a completely useless and pointless scene. It had nothing to do with the movie. It didn't progress the movie in any way. She was a total background character, and they made her into a main character, and there was no reason for it. They had already introduced enough characters. We have way too many characters to follow and get a new backstory on, and I was glad that they backseated her. She had like a half a cameo in this movie, and I was completely okay with it. Like if I wouldn't have even seen her at all, I'd have been like, oh, she probably died somewhere.
Yeah,
she got flushed out of a trash chute or something. I don't know. The part though that like really got me too is when Rey goes back to Ahch-To, and she's all mad. She burns the ship and everything, and she throws the lightsaber in the fire. Oh, yeah. And like Luke pops up, Force Ghost Luke pops up, and he grabs it, and he's like, "That's no way to treat a Jedi weapon." Yeah. I was like, "Fuck you, Rian Johnson." Yeah, because I feel like that was straight up like a fuck you from J.J. Abrams to Rian Johnson, like because when he throws a lightsaber. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was a great way to redeem it. A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. And I was like, yeah. And I think I literally in the theater was like, fuck you, Rian Johnson.
And then you hugged your son and said, son, don't cuss. Yeah. Only dad gets to say that.
It was, I don't know, it was... that
was a great moment.
Yeah, it was good, man. And it kind of brought back Luke a little bit too. Like I was like, yeah, you're not a coward.
Like kind of redeemed him.
Yeah. It redeemed what Rian Johnson did to him because Luke would have never been like that in real life.
Off a cliff.
That was I don't get why he jumped to the other side to get the fish. Why couldn't he get it from this side?
I don't know how he lifted that big ass fish up.
Well, he has the Force. So
come on,
super
man.
strong.
Come on.
Force the fish out.
That's what I'm saying. He can do that.
Force fish. That's a Force ability. Force fish.
I don't feel like that is, but I mean,
it is now.
It is now.
It's gonna be now.
Here on Shop Talk.
Yeah.
Forceability. Force fish.
I don't know. And then so with the ending of it, like I felt, and I mean not the fight scene. I mean like the legit end where she goes back to Tatooine, when she buries the lightsabers. Like it was okay. What got me though is like I feel like there should have been more after that. Like, is she gonna start a new Jedi Order? Like, is she gonna make Luke's little house at the Jedi Temple?
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like her going to some building, whether it was just some like rundown building, and be like,
"Here, Jedi Temple."
You know what I mean? Just showing her building.
But they just show her like pop on her new lightsaber, which is orange. And like,
it's like orange, yellow, or something.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was cool. I was kind of like, why orange? That seems odd. Like, I thought they were gonna go with like maybe purple. I really did. Just, but or even a basic color, but she pops out an orange lightsaber, which I guess is cool.
I think what they're trying to do was like, wait, does red and green make orange or? Like if
that's what I was thinking too the other day, and I asked myself the same question. I was like,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that makes that color, but I will Google it right now just to settle this.
What just to make sure? But red and green makes orange. Yeah. Well, now we just
Let's see.
It does now.
Put your phone away. I'm already doing it.
But and then she buries the lightsabers, which you're kind of like, I was like, okay, yeah, all right, fine, whatever. I just wanted to see a little bit more in the ending. But then the part where the lady walks.
Did I say red and? I meant red and blue. Did I say red and blue?
I feel like you're closer with red and green.
Like you're closer with red and green. But I'm just gonna tell
red and
you.
blue makes purple.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you both on that note.
We're all wrong.
Because
It makes brown.
I failed art class though.
Well, I just and then the part where the lady walks up, and she's like, "Who are you?" She's like, "I'm Rey," and then she sees, them in the background, which like, just because they trained you doesn't mean you take the like. Well, now do we have like an Anakin Kenobi? You know what I mean? Like that. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it was kind of like she should have been a Palpatine. She should have been a Palp. You know what I mean?
Like
And-
redeem the name, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. She redeemed the name and just be yourself. You know what I mean? Like they were talking about that earlier in the movie, like about something about being yourself. And then she went and was like, "I'm a Skywalker," and I was like, "No, you're not. You're a freaking Palp, man." And then, like I know his name has a lot of bad credit throughout the Star Wars galaxy, but like you said, she redeemed the name and just be yourself. Like you're a Palp, man. Be
the
a Palp.
lightsaber should have been yellow if it would have been red and green. I guess orange is kind of close, but
Well, it
go
looked
with
kind of yellow.
Yeah, it looked a little
it
yellow.
look yellow.
It does.
The middle of it.
Okay,
looked
well,
yellow.
so with
Wow,
so
the
the only
light.
other time that we see the yellow lightsabers with the Sentinels, right? The Jedi Temple guards. Is that
Yeah,
what
the Jedi Temple Guards. They have
That's
it,
like
and
the
they
only
have
other time.
Yeah. I mean, in Legends, there's a bunch of yellow ones, but I mean, I guess in Disney canon, there's only
that one.
yeah. I think yeah. Well, Disney canon, the yellow ones, there's the Temple Guards, and then Rey is the only orange one I think that we've seen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was my thing with the ending. Is like I get the fight scene. Like it should have been. I think it should have been more drawn out. More. Should have been more. It was too easy to kill Palpatine, especially for him being as powerful as he was. And another thing that bothered me, and it drives me nuts because they do this in every Star Wars movie. There's a new super weapon in every movie. Like all those ships did not need Death Star lasers on it. Yeah, like it could have just been a badass fleet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't have to have a star killing ability on every ship. Like,
come on, man, go big or go home.
yeah, I mean, I
And
guess
they went home.
yeah, they didn't even work out for that.
It never works out.
Yeah, and
I just want to see people.
I kind of wanted this one to end like because all the other ones end with I guess Revenge of the Sith kind of didn't. The Sith won, you know what I mean, technically, and then
one win. Woo.
But then then good guys win at the end of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So then it should have been the Sith's turn again.
Yeah.
And then that would have sparked new if
New
Rey
content.
if Rey would have kept fighting, it would have been the end of the Skywalker saga.
Mhm.
But then she could have, been fighting the Sith again. That's the thing, they just don't do enough Sith. Like that's for me, that's why I watch Star Wars is because like I love Jedi and I love Sith and I love seeing them go at it, and that's why I love the old Republic because there's so many of them.
Mhm.
But you want to see lightsaber fighting.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
don't want to see lightning hands.
Yeah, Mr. Lightning Hands. But
Mr. Crackle.
and in a way, like I'm kind of glad that it ended. Like I said before, like it's bittersweet because it sucks because it's been such a huge part of growing up and part of my, me liking movies and everything. But I'm kind of glad it ended because now we get to start digging into some old Republic stuff. Hopefully, we'll get back there, get some more backstory on the Jedi, backstory on the Sith. And I hope they keep talking about that new one. I'm sure you've heard the High Republic era. Do you read that article where they put out where the next trilogy is going to be in the High Republic
So
era?
it's just gonna be in the older Republic kind of.
I guess. And it's supposed to be like I've heard 400, and then I've heard like 1,000 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, which is cool. But at the same time, I kind of wish they'd go a little bit further back, like either before Darth Bane or at Darth Bane, because then I feel like there's still not going to be a whole lot of Jedi fighting Sith, because the Jedi, if they do it at that time, the Jedi don't have any
anybody to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they didn't even know about the Sith until Darth Maul. Darth Maul was like, oh shit, these bastards are still here. So like, so that's why I was hoping like either Darth Bane or before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But either way, I'm glad we're gonna get back into it, into that era, and it's good that they brought it into it. And I think they did good for what they had to work with The Last Jedi. I think The Last Jedi is what kind of really set this movie up to be the way that it is, because they had to fix so much stuff, and it really did the best that they could.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was a good movie, man. Like I did leave the theater happy, and I was like, okay, that's an okay ending to this whole thing. Like I think it was the best ending we could have got, honestly, with The Last Jedi. And
I think he just played it safe. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's just like
when they gave I think they did like Bryce was saying, like the whole fan service thing, because we got none, I feel like, in The Last Jedi. And so they were like, shit, we gotta give these guys something here. You know what I mean? Let's play it safe and give them something.
It was complete business on this one. There was no like, hey, this might be great, it might not, we're not gonna chance it. No, we're gonna just go with the fans are gonna love it for sure.
Yeah, we got to get the fans back on board. But
see, now with this Star Wars series, I don't think they planned it from the beginning. I don't think that they did an Avengers and let it plan out for like 10, 15 years. They just was like, oh, we're going to release The Force Awakens, and then we're going to, keep cycling through these directors, see whatever they want to do.
Well, and that's what they were doing, too, is like they were writing, like they wrote the first one, and then they're like, oh, we'll get another guy to write the second one, and then we'll get another guy to write the third, instead of like having a story.
Instead of pulling a George Lucas.
At least like a storyline, like where they wanted to start and where they wanted to finish, fill in the gap.
Well, I think even if they would have just put a commitment to 2, like when George Lucas originally started the series, he went in with the intention that I'm gonna film 1, but I'm gonna make a second one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that being said, he had a plan. Like I don't think there was any plan.
There wasn't, and you could see it too.
And that's where you can see the different vision from the director. You know what I mean? And that's where fans didn't like it, because I always think your middle movie in every series, it should be your most crucial movie, because your first movie is your hook, which is your intro, and your last movie is your closure. But your middle movie is like the meat of everything. Yeah, like it's supposed
your
to,
hump day.
Yeah, it's literally supposed to
reaches
be
its peak, right?
And that's when you're okay with the closure of your last movie.
Yeah,
that's why people with Avengers were okay with the ending, because they built such a climax that when it came to an end, it worked out. And we didn't have that for here. So I think when we got such a great movie in this movie, we were like, wow, this should have been the middle, and we should have another one. Yeah.
Well, I guess we've reached, the climax of this. So, we'll get to the part that everybody's waiting for here. Our rating. I don't know where to. I don't want to go first. So
let's let the newbie go first.
Let's go with him.
What the hell?
Let's go. Two against one.
Because I'm the best.
He's the one that's on the kiss.
All right. So overall, is it a poop shoot, or
it's
you give it a
poop shoot? I'm gonna give it a 7.
7 golden nuggets.
7 golden nuggets, solid. I'm gonna give it a 7 just because, as I've said from the beginning, the ending could have been better. And it had great content. It was a fan favor, like we said. It pleased all the fans, but the ending didn't do it for me. I give it a solid 7.
I'm good with that, actually. Like yeah, that's good. You?
I think I have to agree with Bryce on a 7. Mostly because I like the movie. I honestly did. It's just me being, I grew up on the Star Wars series as well too. Like I'm very picky, but I think J.J. Abrams did the best that he can from the mess that Rian Johnson did.
Fuck you, Rian Johnson.
Again.
But I feel like if J.J. Abrams got to continue that, we probably would have been at like a 10 right now. We wouldn't have
solid 10. That would have been great, man.
We wouldn't have all these plot holes and everything. But I'm gonna give it a 7. on the fact that it was entertaining. It was fun.
Are you not entertained?
Mostly because of Bob.
That's copywritten.
I do not own the rights to that. Just so you guys know, everyone out there.
If you said I'm going to give it a 7 because of Babu Frick.
Like 2 minutes screen time, but that was worth it.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm actually kind of like right where you guys are. I'd probably I'd go a little higher. Like I'll give it a 7.5.
Well, now we're doing decimals and shit.
I didn't know.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
I'll go with 7.2 then.
7.2 golden nuggets.
I'm leaving it at a 7.
Okay, I'll go with 7. I'll go with 7.5. 7.5 golden
You're just
nuggets.
trying to top me, Jay.
Your rewatchability. Would you rewatch the movie?
I would definitely rewatch. I have to rewatch it. I've only watched it once. So everyone here, I think, has watched it twice. I've only watched it once. I definitely got to watch it again.
What a fucking loser, man.
It's a good thing I watched it once because you guys would have definitely hated my review the second time because I guarantee if I found that much wrong the first time, I was going to find a lot more wrong the second time.
You? Rewatchability.
I already watched it because of the name of Star Wars, but I can't.
That was a fucking fantastic answer.
Yeah, so I would rewatch it. I know that we're gonna get it in all the formats, Blu-ray, 4K, and stuff like that. Well, I think it's rewatchable for me.
Same for me, man. I would rewatch it, and I think, like, honestly, like you guys said too, with my score, like I think it would go up if it didn't create so many open-ended questions for being the last one. You know what I mean? Like if they would have closed everything off, I think I would have been a little bit more okay. But they raised so many questions now that I want the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of killed it for me. And then the ending, I just wanted to know a little hint, like kind of like what they do with Avengers. Like I know not after the show it, but like I feel like if they would have just given us something, like what could potentially be next.
Like an extended cut.
Not even that. Like just at the end, like if she would have just been like, I'm gonna restart the Jedi Order, like, and she had some kids there with her or something. You know what I mean? Like that would have been. I would have been.
Yeah.
The Broom Boy. If Broom Boy was there, this would have been a solid fucking 10.
Give it a 10. Goddamn 10. I don't own the rights to that either.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'd rewatch it. I mean, I already have rewatched it, and I would continue rewatching it because, like you said, it's Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. I still watch The Last Jedi, even though I hate it, just because it's Star Wars, and like sometimes you gotta escape a little to the Star Wars universe. So, all right. With all that said, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So, thanks for listening. This is Shop Talk, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Later.
See you.